Well, isn't that a different video for me today? I thought today I would share with you my journey of dealing with anxiety and panic attacks today. I've been meaning to film this video for a long time now, but it's harder than I thought it would be. Don't have a problem talking about mental health in general. I feel like it's very important to talk about it, but when it comes to talking about the hardest years of my life, it's way more difficult than I thought it would be. So I know that a lot of people talk about it now, talk about their experience dealing with anxiety and panic attacks, which is absolutely amazing. And first I thought it will just be one more video talking about it, but I've come to realize that each journey dealing with these mental health issues are completely different and unique, and we don't suffer about them in a similar way. We don't get triggered by the same things. So maybe this video will help you realize that what I'm experiencing is similar to you. Maybe it will help you relate more. Maybe it will help you feel less alone. Understanding that so many people deal with it and that it's not weird. It's not you. It's not you having a problem or being weird or anything like that. A lot of people deal with it, and it's just something that happens in your brain and you don't decide what happens to you, and that's okay. I am in a much better place now than I was a few years ago. It took some time. It took a lot of hard work, if I'm honest, but I learned a lot during these past few years, and I thought I would share with you first my story, how everything kind of happened. I will share with you my symptoms, but I also wanted to share with you 3 different things. The first being when it happens for me the most, when I know that my anxiety will be a bit more high, when I know that I may get a panic attack if things get bad. But also I wanted to share tips. I want this video to be useful for you. I just don't want to talk about my life and my experience and my journey. I want this to be helpful for you as well. So I will share with you my tips for managing anxiety on a everyday basis. I want it to be helpful for you if you're having issues with anxiety on an everyday basis, if you see that some things are happening, you don't really know how to deal with them. These may be useful for you. These were the things that helped me understand myself better and manage my anxiety every day. And I also wanted to share with you how I kind of manage sometimes it's very important here to not get a panic attack if I feel one coming, or how I will help to scale it down so that it's not as hard and powerful as it could be. It took a lot of time for me to get there. It didn't happen overnight, but maybe it will help you, and that's why I'm filming this video. And if it helps just one person, I know it's so cliche to say that, but honestly, if it helps just one person, I will be very happy and I will feel relieved to have done this, even though it's very hard and I'm a bit uncomfortable right now. But if it helps at least one person, I'm fine with it. I did take a few notes because I didn't want to forget anything important. So if you see me looking down, it's because I have my laptop right here, just to check that I don't forget anything important. So yeah, let's start with kind of my story. I hate calling it that, but that's what it is. How everything happened. I think I've always been an anxious child. I've always been more stressed than other kids. I always had a hard time sleeping if I was too stressed and stuff like that. I would overthink. I hated sleepovers if I didn't feel comfortable in people's places, because I noticed that I would feel a bit sick. I would have a hard time sleeping there. I would feel uncomfortable and I had a hard time appreciating the moment. And now I know that I was anxious, but at the time I was a child. I had no idea what was going on. So I knew already that something like that happened. I had my first panic attack at 14. I was on a school trip. We were walking downstairs to go take the subway. And I was very tired. It was just right after some exams. The trip itself was very tiring. We drove there like on a bus, and just like I was very tired. Also, a lot of other things were happening. I wasn't comfortable in certain situations, so I think it played a role in that. So just walked down and I started, like, I couldn't see anything, and so I kind of panicked, and then I started to hyperventilate. I started to panic a bit more, even more, because I couldn't see anything. It was very terrifying. And then I kind of blacked out. If I'm honest, I don't remember what happened next. The next thing I remember is I was sat on a bench, just curled like a baby, with my teachers next to me and some people around me, like school friends and stuff, who were kind of scared of what had happened. I don't remember it again, so I don't really know what happened and what could be, like, what it looked like, basically. And just like then my teachers gave me water and food, and yeah, so they told me it was a panic attack. So I knew what was happening, but I didn't really think about it much more than that. So actually it was a good thing, because it meant that I wasn't scared to have another one or anything like that. So yeah, next few years, high school, I was very anxious, quite stressed in certain situations, which didn't make a lot of sense. If I was too stressed, I wouldn't sleep, which happened quite a bit during exams. If something was about to happen that I was dreading, if a situation made me feel stuck, it would happen. One thing that helped, and for 2 years I went with my mom, and then with my mom and my best friend, and it was actually very helpful. We went twice a week, and I could tell that it helped me to release the stress and to sleep better. Unfortunately, the last year of high school, I had to kind of stop going. I went maybe once, I think, because we had so much work, and just like it became way harder, and I didn't make it a priority, which I should have been, but I wasn't thinking. The thing is, as well, I didn't understand that the high level of stress that I was experiencing were anxiety. The word wasn't very known then. The impact it had behind just the word anxious and stress were not well known, and I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what was happening to me, so I didn't put a label on it, but it also didn't help me to understand what was happening so that I could deal with it, which made it way worse the next years. I then went and did a 2-year course, and these 2 years were very hard because I had to commute, and it was very long, and I was always tired, but I was also very anxious at that time. It's when I think it started to get out of hand, in the sense that I was very anxious a lot of the time. I had a lot of trouble sleeping, even though I couldn't sleep for a long time because I had to commute so early in the morning, and I wasn't very comfortable in that class. I wasn't comfortable with the people I was with, so I think it all kind of helped me a lot to be comfortable mentally as well, and to talk about it. But they weren't too bad. Then I went and did an internship in Miami, and that was the first time I was on my own for so long, that far. And I notice now that at certain moments when anyone would feel very stressed, because I was 18 on my own on the other side of the world pretty much, and I had to do a lot of things that I hadn't done before, so I was very anxious. And now I'm like, oh my God, thank God you didn't have a panic attack then, because you could have. I hadn't slept for over 24 hours. I was in a different country, didn't speak the language, as in it wasn't my mother tongue. All of that kind of contributed to me being quite anxious a lot of the time, and in certain situations, a lot. Like something happened in a bus. I don't even remember if I ended up putting that video up. Maybe I did, and I will put it down below if you want to see it. But basically, a guy filmed me in a bus, and he pretty much tried to follow me out. Anyway, it was a very hard time, and I ended up going home, and as soon as I got home, I had a big panic attack. At the time, didn't think it was that. I just thought it was the stress of the situation that made me feel like that. I just broke down. I was breathing so fast and crying a lot. I called my mom and everything, and I was just having a panic attack. But I just didn't realize. I didn't put a name on it. I just thought nothing of it at the time, just a relief of the situation. Then went home, and then it was going to be the hardest year I ever lived. If I don't want to sound dramatic, but it really was. After my 2 years of this course, I entered university. I entered directly into second year, and so I didn't know anyone because the people in my class were together the year previous. So they kind of knew each other. I had a bit of a hard time making friends because I was very anxious. I had just moved in a student accommodation, so it was like you had a bedroom with a bathroom inside, but you had a shared kitchen. I didn't know anyone on my floor. I felt so stressed talking to people I didn't know, and the worst thing for me was being surrounded by people I didn't know, feeling trapped in my room. I didn't even go out to the kitchen to cook. I would make sure that I could do anything in my room. It was very hard. I felt trapped. I hated hearing people around me so close. I felt kind of in danger a lot, and so my anxiety levels were very, very high. I had panic attacks, I think, like at least twice a week, and they were pretty bad if I had only two. I had them all the time. Just having to get out of my room to go to university was a struggle every single morning. I remember having the worst panic attacks there, like the worst. I even remember one that I think to this day is still the number one worst I ever had, or at least in the top 3. It was so long. I think it was more than 20 minutes, and my boyfriend was there, and my throat hurt so bad, so bad. I could not breathe. It made an awful sound, and I remember saying to my boyfriend, when will it stop? When will it stop? Why is it not stopping? And it was very hard, and I felt sick all the time, and I thought at the time that it was a stomach bug. So I went to see my doctor, my GP. I was almost crying when I saw him. And he was like, yeah, no, maybe you're just very stressed. But he didn't put a name on it. He didn't tell me, maybe you're experiencing anxiety. Nothing like that. Just like, yeah, it may be that you're very stressed. My boyfriend talked about it briefly with my parents, just saying, hey, Gabby is experiencing like stress that is not normal. And so, but I have to say that I didn't talk about it to my parents because I didn't understand it myself, and I didn't want to freak them out more, especially my mom, who has always been an anxious person, so I didn't want to make her feel even worse, so I didn't really talk about it. And then I remember one day I was on my laptop and I was watching Zoe Sucks videos. I remember seeing one of her videos, and it was dealing with panic attacks and anxiety, and I watched the video and something clicked in my head. Every time she would talk about a symptom, I was like, tick, 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 that's exactly what's happening to me. I went to the links that she had put down below of mind.org, research anxiety. I researched anxiety disorder, panic attack disorder. I started to talk about it to my boyfriend. I was like, hey, you remember everything that I'm experiencing? Like, maybe I know what it is. And so I sent him the links, and I explained a bit more what was happening, which was very hard actually, to talk about it to someone that wasn't experiencing it. I was like, maybe he will think I'm crazy, or I don't know, like stupid thoughts. I care way too much about what people think about me, so talking about this and being so vulnerable was a bit difficult. And so he was like, yeah, maybe that's what's going on, so maybe you should go and see like a therapist or someone that could help you. But at the time it was the end of the year, so I still went and saw someone, but I think I only did like 4 meetings with her, something. It still helped. She helped me understand what was happening to me, and she gave me like a little task of things to do. Like something that was very scary for me was going to grocery shop on my own, and so she made me do a few things that could be helpful and everything. So it was still a massive help, but didn't last as long as it should have, I think. Then the year after that was the year I did my year abroad in Birmingham, which I had a lot of thought about the year before, because that's when it was the hardest, and I was like, can you actually do this? Won't it make everything worse? I still decided to go for it because I'm not one to quit and I don't like disappointing people. So I was like, I'm still going to do it. Memory card was full, sorry. So as I said, I was lucky enough that my boyfriend had been accepted to the same university, so he was going to be able to come with me and we would be together, which still to this day I'm like, how were we this lucky? The year wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, in the sense that being in a country that I loved and speaking English all the time and being in an environment that made me very happy very much helped. I still had trouble falling asleep, I still experienced anxiety, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been if I had been on my own. The year after, we came back to France, and it was my first year of master's degree. We changed city again, which was the third one for me. We found an apartment, but it ended up being, I think, like the second hardest year of my life. I pretty much couldn't sleep. Some nights I would sleep 3 hours and not even like back to back. So a lot of the time I was going to university, I hadn't slept. And it could last for days. I was anxious all the time. I had such a hard time concentrating on schoolwork and revising and everything. I ended up failing like 2 classes I had to retake, which was the first time ever it happened to me, because I just slept so badly. My anxiety was so high that I could not concentrate, I could not revise, I could not think of anything else because of how I was feeling. When you're so anxious, you have such a hard time focusing on anything else than what's happening in your body and in your mind. I had a hard time going out of the house. Taking the bus was hard, and especially when I had to take it during rush hour, which was quite a lot, because in France, university is very different from like let's say in England. Like, for example, a usual number of hours I would have during my entire years of university would be between 23 to 30 hours of class per week. So pretty much every day. I would cry all the time because I was like, why am I feeling so anxious? Why is it not going away? And bless him, my boyfriend didn't really know what to say. He was amazing throughout these years. I forgot to mention that actually, but he was amazing. He would hold me when I would be having a panic attack and I would have a hard time breathing. He would tell me like, just breathe himself, like look at me and be like, and not say anything, not rush me, not make me feel bad, not make me feel uncomfortable. He would make me feel like it's okay, just let it happen, I'm here. He would help me feel better. He would talk it out with me when I needed to. He was really great, and he did his best. I went back to see a psychologist at that time, and she helped me as well. I was exercising a bit more as well. I was doing Pilates a few times a week, which was helpful. Then the year after that was when I felt a shift inside of me. We were back to Grenoble for our second year of master's degree and the last one, and we found an apartment we liked more. I was in an international class. I was surrounded by people from all over the world. I was talking English every day. My classes were in English. And I think this entire environment that made me happier was really a massive relief for me. Also, that year was the year I joined a gym again. I was like, you know what? It will make you feel better. I could tell that working out helped me a lot, and so that's when I really felt something change. I was more tired, so I slept better. I was less anxious because I had released endorphins and released some stress, and it was way better. I was comfortable with the people in my class. I was happier because I was speaking in English every day, all day long. And so that's when it's just like, it just changed. And that's when I could tell that all of these years before, working on managing my anxiety, of knowing myself better, understanding my symptoms, my triggers, what I could do to make me feel better, everything was working and setting into place. And that's when I was like, oh, it's working better. You're managing it better. And so it was a relief mentally as well. I was like, every time I would get a bit anxious or stuff, I was like, you need to do this. And most of the time it worked. And when it didn't work, I was like, you know what? It's a process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's a process. Trust yourself. It will work. I still had panic attacks sometimes, way less than I had before, which was great because panic attacks are so traumatic. And I know it sounds maybe over the top, but honestly, if you've ever had a panic attack, you will understand what I'm talking about. For your body, for your mind, for me, it takes me days to feel normal again and to keep my anxiety in check, because it gets worse after a panic attack. So experiencing them less often really helped me to work on long-term anxiety, on what I could do every day to make it feel better, to understand my symptoms as well, and to understand the scientific explanations behind that, everything that's happening in your body and how you can work on it. So for me, first, it was all about understanding when they happened the most. What were the situations that could trigger my anxiety? So I wrote them down. I don't want to forget anything in case it's something you're experiencing and it could help you. So first of all, understand that what's happening to you when you have a panic attack is a fight or flight response. So it's basically a natural response to any danger that you can be around or think that you're around. It's just something humans were born with. It's inside of you. It's your nervous system, your sympathetic nervous system, just telling your body there's something wrong and you need to act on it. So either you prepare to fight or you're prepared to flight. And adrenaline is being released in your body when you have a panic attack, which then can lead to different symptoms for each person. So for me, it's I start to breathe a lot faster. I'm lightheaded because I hyperventilate a lot. I get shivers, I get pins and needles, I can't think straight. I lose the feelings in my legs and my arms, so I feel very unsteady and I feel like I could fall. I feel very, very sick because your digestive system shuts down during a panic attack, so I feel extremely sick. And if it's a very, very bad anxiety attack, like a panic attack, I start to cry, I can't see around, and my throat starts to so it hurts a lot. And sometimes the next day it can still hurt. Actually, what I created with my boyfriend in order to make him understand how I was feeling better, because he could tell after a while. He was very good at that. He could tell by my body and my face and my expressions if I was feeling anxious. But you know, like, it's also inside of you. It's mental. So I had to find a way to explain to him how I was feeling so that he could understand. So I just took a scale and I was like, okay, so if I'm being anxious but it's something I can work on, it will be between a 4 and a 6. If it's starting to get a bit bad and I need to make sure that I'm in control, it will be between like a 6 and a 7.5. Above a 7.5, I will have a panic attack for sure. Even above a 7, I would say I would have a panic attack. If it's a very bad panic attack, it will be a 9 and above. And I've had a few 9 and above, and that's usually the one I can remember as if it was yesterday. So coming up with that, that's when I could tell where my symptoms were and to understand them better so that I could do something about them. So if I felt like, ooh, I'm a 6, I'm starting to breathe a little too much, I have a hard time focusing on anything other than what's happening in my body, I'm starting to have pins and needles a bit. That's when I know that I have to do something. I wanted to share with you a few tips I learned along the way to make sure that every day I could manage my anxiety better. The first one being, I learned what my triggers were. Situations that made me feel anxious. Wrote them down as well. When I feel trapped, so in a party, in a room, at an appointment or an event, a meeting or something, public transports if I'm on my own, train, planes, because I feel stuck and out of control, and especially if I'm on my own, which has happened last year, it's worse. Waiting lines, appointments, big crowds because I feel smothered. When I know I'm trapped somewhere and I don't know what might happen. So like last time, it was an amusement park. It was in a room that was dark and I didn't know what was going to happen and I was on my own. If I haven't had enough sleep, I'm more careful because I will not react in a good way. And then when I'm somewhere I don't know, when I don't know what might happen, basically a situation unknown when I'm out of control as well. So if I don't know a situation, if I don't know my surroundings, I will be more likely to have a panic attack, and if I don't know the people with me, it will be worse. So yeah, but basically those are my triggers. And when I understood my triggers, when I actually made a list, I think, of any time I would feel anxious or have a panic attack over time, I would write it on my phone so that I could understand it better. Then physical activity. Physical activity helps to calm me down, helps me to release endorphins, to sleep better as well. I'm more tired, I've released the stress. I make sure as well to sleep for at least 8 hours. I know that I'm no good when I haven't slept usually, but with anxiety, I make sure that I sleep enough so that I think more clearly. Meditation, yoga, walks, light exercise are so helpful, and taking time to breathe well, exercises that help you to breathe are so helpful. Avoid caffeine. When I stopped drinking coffee, I immediately could tell a difference. My heart wasn't beating that fast. I avoid people that make me feel bad, uncomfortable, that I notice have a negative impact on how I feel. And it's hard, and as well something that took me some time to do because I felt bad about myself and I felt like it was just me being weak, is talk it out. So first it was with my boyfriend, I then talked about it with friends, and that's when I realized that a lot more people than I thought were experiencing it. My sister knows. Mental health sometimes can be hard because you feel all alone. You feel like I'm the only one experiencing it. It's all in your head. Nobody can tell physically what's happening to you. And so putting words on how you're feeling is so helpful. And so I would say talking it out and being open about how you feel will help you a lot every day. Now, my tips for when you're feeling so anxious, you feel like, oh my God, I can't deal with it right now, or even I'm on the verge of having a panic attack, I can feel one coming. These are the worst moments usually. That's when you feel like there's nothing you can do, when actually there are a few things. So for that, I would say get out of the situation if you can. If you're somewhere where you can leave, even if it's somewhere you feel like you will be rude leaving, leave. Get out of the situation. If it's something that makes you feel uncomfortable, it's no good for you. So just go out and take some time for yourself. Something that helps me a lot for me is get some fresh air. When I was in my student accommodation, I would pretty much always leave the window open to get fresh air, to get air from outside, or I would stand on my window just breathing fresh air. I still do it now. We have a balcony, so I go on the balcony if I'm feeling bad. When I was working in an office, when I was feeling bad, I would just say to my colleague, just gonna pop outside for 5 minutes. She would understand. I had talked about it with them, so they knew. I just go outside. Fresh air helps you to breathe better as well. Try to breathe more calmly, which I wrote it down and I was like, ugh, because that's the worst thing you could tell someone who is having a panic attack is breathe. Because it's not that easy. What I mean is like, work on a technique of breathing that works for you. So something that helps you breathe in for a long time, hold a little bit, and breathe out. And that will help you to breathe normally instead of breathing like usually when you're feeling so anxious, you feel very out of breath. So you take very short breaths. And that's the worst you can do. So try to take deep breath. I think that's what I mean. Take deep breaths and take your time. Just take the time to breathe better. Whatever, how much time it will take depends on how you're feeling, but it helps a lot. Think of a happy memory. Think about something that makes you feel better, that takes you out of the situation you're in, and that will distract you in a positive way and bring you joy and make you forget about what you're experiencing right now. And if it helps you, close your eyes, put on headphones. Amazing. Listen to calming music or an app. That's so helpful. Like if I have to take the train on my own, if I have to go shopping on my own, I will always listen to some kind of music. Whether it's a playlist that makes you feel so good and so happy, or it's something calming. Like for me, I think it's Relaxing Sounds, the app, and I will put it, and you can select the kind of sounds that you want that help you calm down. For me, it's sounds of the sea, the rain, the wind, and night, which I mean can be a weird combination, but it helps me feel so good because I'm more focused on the sounds and less on outside and what's happening outside. And think of it, it's so weird, but thinking of anxiety and panic attacks in a scientific way helps. Do some research about everything that's happening in your body when you have a panic attack, and you will understand that it's something physical. Everything is happening in your body is a response to what's happening in your mind. Everything is connected, and the symptoms are just scientific. Well, I feel like I've talked for so long. I really tried to make this video not as long as it is, probably, but I really wanted to do something that was helpful as much as I could. And if you're experiencing anxiety or panic attacks, just know it will get better, and it might take time, and maybe you don't see it now, but everything will be fine. And if you need to, go see someone, go find someone that could help you. Talk it out with people, with friends, with family, so that they understand you better and you feel less alone. And don't feel ashamed of it. It's okay. It just means that your nervous system is weaker than other people. It doesn't have anything to do with you as a person. Really hope this video was helpful, and don't hesitate 1 second to send me a message on, like a comment. If you don't want, you can contact me on Instagram, send me a message. Don't feel bad about it if that's something you feel like you want to do or you feel like you need to do. I will be very, very happy to talk about it with you, and just know you're not alone. I hope you're doing good, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!